In all my years of practicing law, I've never seen a case that has the potential to cause more damage to rights and freedoms in Canada than the case of His Majesty the King versus McDonald.
Just with respect, do you not see how this case has the potential to make peaceful protesting illegal for the first time in Canadian history?
Well, like I said, I comment on the case in court. That's what the Crown has to say. That's what I have to say. So I'm not going to make a comment on that.
Assistant Crown Attorney Michael Lucifora and his team seek to criminalize peaceful protesting under the guise of "for your safety." As many recall, thousands of Canadians across the country took to the streets in peaceful fashion to protest the unjust and cruel lockdown measures imposed by the provinces in 2020 and 2021. As part of a campaign to silence those who dared to speak up, certain members of the police were instructed to arrest and jail anyone who partook in peaceful protest, especially those believed to be leaders or influencers. The criminal charge was common nuisance. Fast forward 3 years later, anyone arrested for common nuisance had their charges withdrawn. Everyone except for, that is, Cullen McDonald. Cullen has now become what's called in legal terms a test case. The question now is, how far will the state go before anyone notices the true insidious nature of the Crown's appeal? To put things into perspective, if the Crown has their way, the police could arbitrarily arrest anyone who violates bylaws in the name of public safety. Whether those bylaws apply to the next variant, 50-minute cities, or the supposed climate crisis is anyone's guess. So where are we today? On January 3rd, 2024, in front of a reasonable judge, Cullen was acquitted of common nuisance. However, on January 16th, 2024, Cullen was found guilty for the exact same charge alleged on a different date. Justice DeFilippis' guilty verdict mirrored that of an amateur opinion piece and compared anyone who attended lockdown protests to that of Mr. Thornton, who in 1991 intentionally spread HIV to as many people as possible through blood donations. Yes, you heard that correctly. As for sentencing, Justice DeFilippis felt it was fitting that Mr. McDonald have a criminal record and pay $4,000 in victim surcharges. Odd, since there was no actual victims. To date, Mr. McDonald is appealing his guilty verdict, while the Crown appeals Mr. McDonald's acquittal. But to add insult to injury, the Crown also decided to appeal Justice DeFilippis' sentence because the criminal record and $4,000 in fines wasn't good enough. In fact, Mr. Lucifora feels that 12 months in jail is the more appropriate sentence. For those not keeping count, that's 3 appeals in total. The Crown's efforts and endless supply of tax dollars used to prosecute Mr. McDonald actually has very little to do with him as an individual and more to do with the state's tyrannical playbook. And for all those who forgot what common nuisance looked like in 2021, it looked like this. This is not a doom and gloom video. We still have good judges and police in this country. Heroes like Detective Helen Gruce, who's in the middle of a tribunal for investigating infant deaths with a possible connection to the you-know-what. Or Sergeant Paul Brown, who refused to shut down Huff Gym at the order of public health. But if we as Canadians allow certain prosecutions to go unnoticed, we may soon find ourselves in situations we didn't think possible. History has always shown that freedom dies in the dark. Our current government banked on no one paying attention to Mr. McDonald's trials. They're hoping no one will find out about his appeals, and they're certainly hoping most Canadians won't care what happens to him. Let's prove them wrong. On August 16th at 9:30 a.m., please come to the Welland Courthouse at 102 East Main Street, Welland, Ontario. Bring your Canadian flags and assemble in peaceful fashion. In the meantime, please share this video and let other Canadians know that this is actually happening. Public awareness is our greatest weapon, which is why this video is necessary.